We will continue with the Christmas story. Today's story is called Because She Cared. She had only been 21 when her father died, leaving her mother with 6 children at home. She had been reared in a home where there had always been sufficient for their needs and sometimes more. Her parents had taught the children good values of work, prayer, sharing, and keeping close to Heavenly Father. But that was 3 years ago, and a lot had happened since then. A severe depression had swept across the land, wiping out their livelihood. She and her younger brother had become the family providers. The family had moved to a new town 3 months before Christmas, and of course had few friends. Shortly before Christmas, their mother was called away from home to go to the bedside of her dying father. All the funds the brother and sister had were required for the train fare and sustenance for their mother. There was no money for Christmas presents, and it was a lonely time for the family in a strange city with no father or mother there. The brother was on call for his job and worked every possible hour he could get. At this time, he was working at night. So the responsibility for the 4 younger sisters fell upon the shoulders of the older sister. How hard she prayed that in some way she could provide Christmas presents for her family, especially the 2 little sisters. It was a bleak day, the day before Christmas, but it was like a miracle, she said later. As she was leaving work about 6 o'clock that Christmas Eve, her boss handed her an envelope. It contained a small cash bonus. As she walked into the darkness, tears filled her eyes in gratitude. She hurried from store to store, getting 1 present each for her mother, brother, and her 2 teenage sisters. There was not enough money left to buy new dolls for the little sisters. With her mind racing and planning, she bought organdy, lace, and ribbon. She would make new dresses for her little sister's old dolls as she trudged through the snowy night to her home. She reflected on the many gifts they had received on other Christmas. But her heart was light because there would be a Christmas for her family. After the little sisters were in bed, she wrapped the precious gifts she bought. Then she started cutting and sewing the doll dresses. She turned the furnace down and sat by the coal stove in the kitchen, with the oven door down for warmth. She worked most of the night on the sewing. One of her teenage sisters stayed with her. Then the older sister, in her thoughtful way, told her to go to bed. "You look so tired. Please go to bed." After that, she cleaned up the old dolls and dressed them in the beautiful new dresses and bonnets. When the dolls were dressed, she carefully placed them in the living room, with 1 gift each for everyone else. Except there was no gift for her. She said later that her gift was the answer to her prayer that brought the small but precious bonus. And then to see the eyes of her little sisters light up when they saw their beautiful dolls was the best gift she could receive. After the gifts were opened, a Western Union boy came to the door. He brought the news of the death of their mother's father early that Christmas morning. It was a Christmas never to be forgotten, but the unselfish love of their sister sustained this lonely young family that Christmas Day. They were a proud family, and no friend, no relative, no bishop ever knew of their plight. Only a kind Heavenly Father knew and answered the prayer of faith of a loving, caring, sharing young woman. I know that this happened because she was my sister. Her giving was not restricted to 1 Christmas, but she and her younger brother continued to provide for their family for many years. I pay special tribute to both of them this Christmas, and I know that their influence will be with me forever. God would bless you. We will continue with the Christmas story. Today's story is called Christmas, I Remember Best. Stealing a Christmas tree is something that isn't done every day. And it really wasn't stealing. Not like the Grinch who tried to steal Christmas. The motivation and timing were different. I was a feisty 9-year-old when Dad took sick and left Mom and me sudden like. That same year, the Great Depression hit the country. But it made no difference to us. We had nothing to begin with. Since Mom was an invalid, our existence depended on kind-hearted neighbors and my marvelous talent for survival. I sold newspapers on street corners and occasionally moonlighted at night by picking up a bottle of milk from some front porch, a pie from a pantry window, or fruit from neighborhood trees. I thought I had my mother believing they were neighborly gifts. But I knew I didn't fool him, if you know what I mean. During the first Christmas season without Dad, I got caught up in the Yuletide spirit. Like any other young boy, I reveled in the holiday sights and sounds. My anticipation was high, but deep down in my heart was a gnawing resignation that the man in the red suit would skip right over our little two-room shack. He stopped only at houses that had fireplaces. That's what I told myself. I knew I was being punished and fervently promised that I would leave other people's milk and pies alone. Meanwhile, there would be no bounteous goodies under the tree. In fact, there would be no tree. That didn't seem right. At least the tree would ease the hurt. I resolved to remedy this decoration omission. On Christmas Day, I hurried to Peterson's market. A fresh layer of new snow lay on the street unmarked by passing vehicles. Not a soul was stirring. I figured that since the store was closed and the unsold trees were usually thrown away, I was embarking upon fair game. As I prowled among the snow-dusted trees beside the store, Old Man Peterson popped out of nowhere, yelling dire threats and chasing me away. Nels Peterson was an old bachelor who could squeeze a nickel till the buffalo bellowed. Scrooge could take lessons from him. He was that mean. The following year, he installed a fence around the Christmas tree lot and locked the gate every night. I accepted the challenge. On that eventful night, when people basked in the warm glow of family togetherness, and somewhere angels were singing, I climbed the fire ladder that hugged the store wall. Hanging onto the rung with one arm and leg, I lifted over the fence a busy 6-foot fir. The next day, old Nels knew one was missing. He had counted them. Next year, the ladder was removed. I dug under the fence. The following summer, the area was cemented and a light installed. Then came a Christmas that I shall always remember with fondness and warmth. My teacher at school involved our class in making Christmas cards for our favorite person, not counting our families. I participated reluctantly. I was almost 12, and this was kid stuff. I made a humdinger for Nels Peterson. Why I included him as my favorite person? I didn't know. I pasted up a magnificently decorated green tree with all the trimmings. As I worked on it, my enthusiasm sparked a tremendous artistic fervor. I figured that it would be the only card he would get from anybody. By the time I had finished, I felt a strange kindship for my adversary. I signed it and put it in his mailbox. He spotted me and the chase was on. I guess he thought I was stealing his mail. Late Christmas Eve, when the stores were closed and everybody was home, I peered around the corner of the back of Peterson's market cautiously. Lo and behold, the security light was out and the lot was shrouded in darkness. The heady scent of evergreen caressed my nostrils. With neck hackles alert and nerves keyed for a quick getaway, I moved with suspicion along the fence. The gate was open. My first thought was that anyone that dumb deserved to lose a tree. My second thought was that he may not be so dumb. This could be a trap. He was probably hiding among the cluster of branches ready to grab me when I stepped through the gate. A mixture of strategies raced through my mind. Not so dumb maybe, but slow. He never could catch me. I'll rush it, grab a tree, and be gone before he can move. I stood motionless while scanning the enclosure. I spotted a lone 7-footer standing in the center by itself. A beautiful, ready-made target. My muscles stretched out as I sprang through the gate. Suddenly, the tree blazed alive. It sparkled with brilliant colors of light like a Christmas tree should. The sudden brightness stripped me of all anonymity. I felt the whole world was watching me in the midst of a heinous crime. Just as I was about to turn and bolt, I saw the large, crudely lettered sign on the tree. It stated simply, "Don't forget to pull the plug and lock the gate. Merry Christmas." Days, I reached down for the connection and saw the presents and box of groceries. Mr. Peterson wasn't among the trees. He was somewhere throwing the switch and watching me. With a suspicious lump in my throat, I waved and called out, "Merry Christmas, Mr. Peterson." I did as he signed, directed, and carried home the best Christmas I have ever had. My new friend and I had learned a beautiful lesson on the joy of giving.